I'm writing this because I'm at my wit's end, and I need to share it with someone who won't judge me, at least not to my face. 15 years ago, my wife, Amanda, decided she was done with our marriage, done with our family, and done with our daughter, Lucy. There was no big fight leading up to it, no dramatic meltdown in the living room, just a simple conversation after dinner one night. She told me she felt trapped in our life together, that she never really wanted children, and that she needed to find herself. The next morning, she was gone, leaving behind only a crumpled note saying she would write once she figured out where her life was going. At that time, Lucy was barely 3 years old. I spent the first few weeks in a daze, numb to everything. Every time Lucy asked where her mommy was, my heart broke a little more. Amanda stayed true to her word about writing. She sent one letter about a month after she left, describing her new job in California and how she was sure it was the right decision for her personal growth. She never once asked how Lucy was doing. She never once apologized for walking out so abruptly. After that, there was silence. Raising Lucy alone forced me to become a better person. I won't pretend I didn't stumble. I had nights where I felt completely overwhelmed, nights where I'd stand outside her bedroom door just listening to her breathe, wondering if I'd ever fill the void her mother left behind. But every morning, I woke up determined to give Lucy the best life possible. Over the years, I found a better job in a tech support department, worked long hours, and eventually moved up the ladder enough to provide a stable income. We managed to have a comfortable, if not glamorous, life. Lucy grew into a remarkable young woman. She's smart, kind, responsible, and more empathetic than anyone I know. She writes her own music, plays the guitar, and volunteers at a local animal shelter. She's sometimes asked about her mother, but over time, those questions turned into quiet acceptance. She knew Amanda wasn't coming back anytime soon, and she seemed to make peace with it. So when Amanda suddenly showed up on our doorstep last month, Lucy was caught off guard, and so was I. She looked almost the same, just older, with a streak of gray in her hair and faint wrinkles around her eyes. But the confident, almost smug expression on her face set me on edge immediately. She introduced the man standing behind her as Ryan, her boyfriend. Lucy came to the door when she heard voices, and the look on her face was a mixture of confusion, disbelief, and something like anger. Amanda acted as if they were long-lost best friends, stepping forward to hug her, but Lucy took a step back, crossing her arms. I asked them what they wanted, and Amanda casually said, "We're here to see our daughter, of course." The nerve of it almost made me laugh. After all those years of no contact, of ignoring birthdays, holidays, milestones, she saunters in and calls Lucy our daughter. I kept my composure, told her we weren't interested in whatever she had to say, but she insisted on coming inside. Against my better judgment, I let them into the living room, mostly because Lucy seemed frozen, and I didn't want to make a scene in front of the neighbors. Amanda acted like she was returning to a home she never really knew. She glanced around, probably judging the furniture, the decor, everything I had worked hard for. Lucy sat on the edge of the sofa, arms still crossed, while Amanda started rambling about how she had spent the last few years living in Europe, dabbling in painting, traveling with Ryan. She claimed she had an epiphany, realized that family was important, and she wanted to reconnect. I waited for her to address the elephant in the room, that she'd abandoned her child for 15 years. When she finally got around to it, she brushed it off like a youthful indiscretion. "I was young and confused," she said. "I needed to discover who I really was." Lucy looked at her and quietly said, "You never tried to call me or send me a letter or anything?" Amanda sighed like this was some minor oversight. Ryan jumped in, claiming that Lucy should be more understanding of the challenges Amanda faced. I couldn't hold back anymore. I told them to leave, reminding Amanda that she forfeited her parental rights a long time ago. She then dropped the bombshell. She was seeking joint custody. She even had the audacity to say she wanted Lucy to spend summers with her and Ryan, maybe even move in with them full-time. My first instinct was to laugh again, but the look in Amanda's eyes told me she was serious. She pulled out a folder from her bag, which contained documents she claimed were proof of her stable income, her nice house, and her ability to provide for Lucy. I calmly told her that Lucy was almost 18, and that there was no way a judge would uproot her life now to accommodate someone who walked away years ago. Amanda shrugged and said she had connections in the legal system. Ryan chimed in with some smug comment about how money can move mountains. After that meeting, I consulted a lawyer. Lucy was furious, feeling betrayed by a mother who seemed more interested in winning some twisted game than in actually getting to know her. I tried to reassure her that everything would be all right, but I wasn't entirely sure myself. Amanda had disappeared with no forwarding address for all these years, so I never bothered with a formal custody battle. My lawyer said that, legally, Amanda could try to re-enter Lucy's life, but Lucy's age would likely give her a say in the matter. Still, I felt uneasy. Over the following weeks, Amanda and Ryan kept showing up, trying to talk to Lucy at school, sending her messages on social media. Lucy blocked them, but they found new ways to reach out. They started filming themselves outside our house, likely hoping to catch me losing my temper on camera. I almost fell for it once, but Lucy grabbed my arm and told me not to give them ammunition. So I took the high road. I documented everything, kept copies of every text, every voicemail, every unwelcome visit. My lawyer assured me it would help our case. Then, I discovered something that changed the game. Amanda hadn't just been living a carefree life. She had been involved in some questionable business dealings with Ryan. A friend of mine who works in finance recognized Ryan from a news segment about a real estate scam. Ryan had been accused of swindling multiple investors, though he managed to avoid charges by paying people off. My friend hinted there were rumors Ryan was still up to no good but had a knack for covering his tracks. The fact that Amanda was connected to him made my blood boil. That's when the idea of revenge started to form in my mind. I had no desire to reconcile with Amanda, and I sure as hell wasn't about to forgive her. But I needed a plan that would ensure she couldn't hurt Lucy, a plan that would bury her custody claim and expose Ryan for the fraud he was. I spent nights combing through financial records I could get my hands on, scanning local court filings, searching for any mention of Ryan's name. I found a pattern of shell companies linked to addresses in different states. It was complicated, but I knew there was something there. Meanwhile, Amanda actually filed a motion for custody. I was served the papers at work, which humiliated me in front of my colleagues. My lawyer said we had a strong case because Amanda had abandoned Lucy, but we couldn't ignore the possibility that Amanda's new wealth and connections might sway a judge. Lucy was old enough to speak her mind in court, but that didn't guarantee anything. Stress weighed on both of us. Lucy started having trouble sleeping. I tried to reassure her, but I felt powerless and angry. Then, I got my first big break. Ryan's name popped up in a civil suit in another state. One of his old associates was suing him for breach of contract, alleging that Ryan had siphoned funds from a joint venture. I managed to get the court documents. They were loaded with details about how Ryan created fake invoices and phantom employees to funnel money into private accounts. If I could prove he was still doing that stuff, it might ruin him and discredit Amanda. But I needed more evidence. I hired a private investigator with the little savings I had. The man was semi-retired but knew his way around financial forensics. I gave him every scrap of information I had on Ryan and Amanda, including possible business addresses they used. He took a week and got back to me with a suspicious paper trail linking Ryan to multiple businesses in our county. Some of them were real estate holding companies, some were import-export shells. All had ties to a single parent corporation run by Amanda's European art dealer friend. My investigator said it looked like money laundering. I couldn't believe Amanda was tangled up in this. Then again, maybe I shouldn't have been surprised. She always had expensive tastes and a reckless streak. I handed everything over to my lawyer, who was stunned but advised me to be careful. We couldn't just accuse them of illegal activity in court without solid proof, but we could keep it in our back pocket as leverage. The goal was to protect Lucy, not necessarily to orchestrate a huge takedown. Still, I had other ideas. Lucy was becoming more stressed as the custody hearing drew closer. Amanda began posting pictures online of Lucy as a toddler, painting herself as a loving mother who was just trying to make amends. People unfamiliar with the real story started commenting, calling Lucy ungrateful for not giving Amanda a second chance. Lucy cried more nights than I could count. She was furious, embarrassed, and hurt. I grew more determined to strike back. If Amanda wanted a war, I was prepared to fight. I found a sympathetic reporter at a local newspaper, someone who had covered small-scale corruption cases before. I tipped him off about Ryan's suspicious real estate dealings and the possibility that he and Amanda were laundering money. I provided some of the documents I had, keeping my name out of it. The reporter was intrigued, but needed more solid evidence to run the story. I promised I'd get him what he needed. The custody hearing arrived. We sat in a small courtroom, Lucy by my side, Amanda and Ryan on the other. Amanda's lawyer tried to paint me as a man who kept Lucy away from her rightful mother. He talked about Amanda's reformed life, her financial stability, and her ability to give Lucy a better future. But Lucy spoke up, bravely telling the judge that Amanda was a complete stranger to her. She described the harassment, the manipulation, and how it was affecting her mental health. The judge listened intently. Then it was my turn to testify. My lawyer presented evidence that Amanda left abruptly and never tried to maintain contact. We showed years of medical bills and school records that I covered on my own. Amanda looked irritated, but Ryan smirked as if he found this entire proceeding amusing. I hated him in that moment. Amanda's lawyer made a last-ditch claim that I was unstable, but the judge seemed unconvinced. The judge didn't make a final ruling that day, but stated he wanted an evaluation of Lucy's living situation. A social worker was assigned to interview us and inspect the home. Amanda flashed a confident smile, as though she expected the system to swing in her favor. Lucy squeezed my hand, and we left the courthouse in silence. We had more waiting ahead. I decided to accelerate my plan. Through my investigator, I found one of Ryan's former employees who was bitter about unpaid wages. This person provided me with internal emails and spreadsheets that detailed how Ryan moved money around. It was the smoking gun I needed. I passed it on to the reporter, who promised a story would run in a week, maybe two, depending on editorial clearance. During that waiting period, Amanda and Ryan showed up again at my house. This time, they brought flowers and a teddy bear for Lucy, probably trying to appear nurturing in case the social worker was watching. Lucy refused to answer the door. I told them to leave or I'd call the police. Ryan smirked again, whispering something in Amanda's ear as they walked away. I felt a surge of anger. I was done playing nice. The social worker visit went smoothly. Lucy's room was organized, our kitchen well-stocked, and the place was clean. I explained our daily routine, how Lucy was performing in school, and the social worker seemed satisfied that Lucy was well cared for. I mentioned how Amanda's sudden reappearance had destabilized everything, and the social worker took notes. They said they'd be conducting their own interviews and would submit a report to the court. It was out of my hands now. A week later, the newspaper article dropped. The headline implicated Ryan in a major financial fraud scheme, complete with details about offshore accounts and fake employees. Amanda's name appeared in the piece, though it was unclear how deeply she was involved. The story spread quickly online. Ryan went dark on social media. Amanda's new posts vanished, replaced by silence. Lucy read the article with wide eyes, realizing her mother was part of something big. A few days later, Ryan was arrested. It turned out the feds had been looking into him for months, and the article spurred them into faster action. Amanda tried to distance herself from him, but rumors circulated that she might be under investigation too. The custody case was still open, but Amanda's credibility took a massive hit. During the next court date, Amanda's lawyer tried to sidestep the scandal, claiming it had no bearing on her fitness as a mother. But the judge wasn't having it. He asked Amanda directly if she had knowledge of Ryan's illegal activities. She stammered through a denial, but it sounded rehearsed. The social worker's report was also in. It concluded that Lucy was thriving under my care and expressed concerns about the disruption Amanda's sudden return caused. The judge ruled that Amanda's petition for joint custody was denied. He stated that, given Lucy's age, her wishes were paramount, and the mother's disappearance for 15 years weighed heavily against her. I saw Amanda's face twist with rage. She shot me a venomous glare, as though I had personally orchestrated this humiliation. In a way, I had, but she deserved it. After court, Lucy and I went out for a quiet dinner, just the two of us. She seemed relieved, but also sad. I don't know if I should feel happy, she admitted. She's still my mom, but she hurt me so much. I told her she had every right to be upset, that it would take time to process everything. We tried to have a normal meal, but my mind kept drifting to the next phase of my plan. I had no intention of letting Amanda off the hook now that custody was settled. She had tried to undermine me, torment Lucy, and barge back into our lives like we owed her something. The reporter told me the authorities were building a case against Ryan, and Amanda might be implicated. If she was guilty, I wanted her to face the consequences. I made sure the investigator stayed on retainer to pass along any further leads. A month later, I got word that Amanda had been questioned by federal agents. Apparently, Ryan was cutting a plea deal, and he might implicate Amanda in exchange for leniency. Lucy asked me if I would ever consider talking things out with Amanda, maybe letting her apologize. I didn't want Lucy to see how deep my bitterness ran, so I just told her Amanda had made her own bed. If Lucy wanted to keep her distance, I'd support that. One evening, Amanda showed up alone at our house, looking disheveled and frantic. She practically begged me to let her in. Lucy was out with friends, so I opened the door, but not wide enough for her to step inside. She said Ryan had turned on her, that she was going to be indicted if she couldn't prove her innocence. She claimed she had nowhere else to go. I looked at this woman who had caused so much turmoil and felt nothing but coldness. She asked if I would testify that she was a good mother who just made mistakes, so it would look better for her in court. I nearly laughed in her face. Instead, I told her I wanted nothing to do with her legal mess. She tried to guilt trip me, bringing up our past, saying she was my wife once. I reminded her she walked out on that marriage. She started crying, but I felt no sympathy. Amanda insisted that Lucy deserved to see her mother free and not behind bars. She begged me to give her just a little help. I told her Lucy deserved better than a criminal mother who crawled back only when she needed something. She called me cruel. I told her cruelty was abandoning a child for 15 years and then trying to snatch custody. I asked her to leave and never come back. Amanda glared at me, tears streaming down her cheeks, then stormed off. That was the last time I saw her in person. A few weeks later, I heard she got charged with conspiracy to commit wire fraud. Lucy found out through social media, and she didn't say much, just that she felt numb. I told her it was okay to feel however she did. Time passed. Lucy graduated high school and started community college nearby. We settled back into our life, the two of us supporting each other. Occasionally, I heard updates about Amanda's case. Ryan turned state's evidence against her, so she took a plea deal. She got a reduced sentence, but still spent time behind bars. Lucy never visited her. She never asked if I would take her. I think she realized that chapter of her life was closed. I wish I could say the revenge made me feel triumphant, but it was more of a grim satisfaction. I protected my daughter, made sure Amanda couldn't hurt her anymore. Maybe part of me still felt the sting of betrayal, the humiliation of being left behind. But I never forgave her. She didn't deserve forgiveness. She chose her path. Lucy and I talk sometimes about the future, about the possibility of Amanda trying to contact us again. I told her she can make her own decisions about that when she feels ready. I won't stand in her way if she wants to hear Amanda out someday, but she doesn't seem to want that right now. In truth, neither do I. Even though this story might sound like a soap opera, it happened to me, to us, in the most real way possible. I lost sleep, lost my appetite, felt my heart race every time I saw a black SUV parked on our street. I worried about Lucy's emotional well-being every day. But we made it through, and for now, life is calmer. Amanda is gone, and she won't be back anytime soon. Sometimes, in those quiet moments, I reflect on how different our lives could have been if Amanda had chosen to stay. Would Lucy be a different person? Would I have chased different dreams? I guess there's no point in dwelling on that. She made her choice back then, and she made her choices now. All I can do is focus on what Lucy needs and keep moving forward. If Amanda ever reads this, I hope she knows I'm not sorry for what I did. She came at us like we were pawns in her new game, expecting Lucy to fall into her arms and me to stand aside quietly. She should have known better. If she had even a fraction of maternal instinct, she would have realized the damage she did. And she would have understood that some betrayals can't be forgiven. In the end, the best revenge was stopping her cold. She lost her freedom, her credibility, and any chance of ever dragging Lucy into her chaos.